Here's everything I watched in February 2024. Okay, look, I didn't start the month strong. I watched The Amazing Spider-Man 2, a film that, as a cringy teenager and Emma Stone simp, I absolutely loved, and as an adult, look, it's fun, it's so silly, borderline camp at times, and I love me a bit of camp. The plot is straight up nonsense, but it has such a powerful emotional core with Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield at the center of it that I can't help but buy into this adventure. I'm gonna be generous here for old time's sake, 3 out of 5 stars. Hey, whilst I have your attention, my name's Aidan Green. I like to talk about films and TV over here on youtube.com, and if you like that too, then please consider subscribing. I'll give you a big hug, imaginary, a consensual imaginary hug if you sign up to it and subscribe. Let's talk about movies. Continuing the reign of the best Spider-Man, I watched No Way Home, which I think kinda sucks. I've always said it looks terrible, with the exception of some of the iconic multi-spider shots in there. What is Benedict Cumberbatch doing? Stop that, no one wants that, let's get rid of that character. Andrew Garfield is the GOAT here, and the other Spideys are pretty good too, even if Holland's Spider-Man most of the time is just a bumbling buffoon. He does handle the heavier stuff really well. Have we ever spoken about how underwhelming the multi-Spidey reveal is? Plot-wise, it's just frickin' Ned doing Doctor Strange stuff, and we don't need more Doctor Strange stuff. Stop that shit. But also, it's just in a bloody house, and both Spideys literally just walk in. It's nuts. And there's also terrible CGI everywhere you look in this movie. There's enough cameos and references that just keep beating the dead horse that is the MCU. And the villains suck. Its plot is based entirely on you giving a shit about the villains of the past, which results in a film that just does not stand on its own 2 feet. Once again, being generous here, 3 out of 5 stars. This month really started off rough. I then went on and watched Mean Girls, the new musical one. I love musicals, so it sort of had that going for it, but the lip syncing is so ridiculously bad. I don't think there's a single number here where the actors' mouths line up with what they're saying. Angourie Rice, the main actor, also from Spider-Man, is really dull and completely overshadowed by Renee Rapp, who's really the only good thing about this movie, and like the rest of the world, I'm slightly obsessed with her now. 1.5 out of 5 stars. Alright, time for some good shit. Then I went to watch 1942's Casablanca for the first time, directed by Michael Curtiz. I think that it's fair to say that this is both one of the best and most iconic movies of all time. We'll always have Paris is a line that I'd heard a million times before, never realizing that this is where it originated from. Its sound and score was sensational, and Curtiz is genuinely quite brave with the camera at times, choosing to hold onto close-ups for really long periods of time, often deciding just to focus on one character for the entire conversation. I did see the twist coming a mile away, but even with that, I completely felt the emotional weight of this movie all the way through, and it looked fantastic in 4K. 5 out of 5 stars. Then I rewatched Past Lives, a movie I'd watched only a month before on a plane, and I know people love watching movies on planes and find it makes them more emotional, but frankly, I'm always more focused on the death capsule I'm traveling in to give a shit. Past Lives is perfect. It's real and raw, such an accurate representation of love that cannot be, love that could be, and love that is. It's a roller coaster of emotion, and Celine's song perfectly frames it through a nostalgic lens. The score alone makes me cry. This one's a real one. It makes me hate the power of movies, just like all my favorite movies do. It's heartbreaking, but it's so right. 5 out of 5. Continuing the trend of love that cannot be, and clearly in the mood to absolutely tear my heart out, I watched La La Land for the 1 millionth time. I've spoken so much about this movie over the years, but Babylon aside, Damien Chazelle is in my opinion one of the best filmmakers working today. I know his stuff is very Hollywood, but it really works for me. The guy has made me cry so many times over the years. The music is fantastic, the visuals are romantic, and Emma and Ryan are one damn hot couple. I'm a softie, have another 5 out of 5. I had a Friday night in on my own, so I decided to get really gin drunk and watch The Lobster. I cannot believe this movie exists, and I literally cried with laughter through the first hour of this movie. Obviously, Yorgos has a lot to say about society's needs to force relationships despite compatibility. The script is just so clever and insane. I cannot express how insane this movie is. I think the novelty of its insanity wore off by The Lobster's final act, but I still love it all the way through. Fucking hell, will somebody take me to go see Poor Things now, please? 4 out of 5 stars. An old fave, but I revisited Marriage Story. How original of me. I think I cry at different points every time I watch this movie. This time I bawled when Charlie was singing at the end. I can't review this film properly anymore because I've seen it 1 million times, and it's hard to review something when your eyes are so full of tears for a large majority of the movie. Fuck it. 5 out of 5 stars. This month really was a month for me revisiting old faves, because then I watched the Criterion Collection's 4K remaster of Trainspotting. Danny Boyle really did direct one of the most iconic films of all time, didn't he? The characters are rich, real, and filled with their own backstories. The soundtrack is perfectly interwoven with certain scenes that you can't think of the music without the visuals. It also balances this tone that perfectly rides the line between dark comedy and tragedy, because when this movie gets dark, it hits, man, every single time. Trainspotting also tiptoes into experimental filmmaking at times, but it always feels right within the tone of the film. Obviously the cast is great, the dialogue is flawless, and in my mind, when I think of Ewan McGregor, I now think of Trainspotting, not Kenobi, and for a kid that grew up with the prequels, it took a hell of a lot to rewire my brain. Contrary to what a lot of people online are saying, I actually really like this remaster. It has a new color grade that I think Danny Boyle himself worked on. It's a little duller, and I understand that people love the colors of the first film, but I don't know, I think the dullness of certain scenes really works for me here and makes the more colourful stuff pop. I'm such a simp this month, 5 out of 5 stars. Then I watched Madame Web, a movie that's just fucking insane. I did a whole video on it, so make sure you check that out. 1.5 out of 5 stars. What a dumb movie. Then I finished the month by watching Dune Part 1. It's long, but glorious, and I can't wait for Part 2. I love the structure of this movie, the big set pieces in the middle of the movie, not in its climax. It's like a weird, unique structure that I really vibe with. Stay tuned for my thoughts on Part 2 next week. Just to touch on TV, I've been rewatching BoJack Horseman again, and I'm about halfway through the second series, which is probably my least favorite series. I think it's just one of those storylines where I'm waiting for the big shit to happen at the end, while the episodic plot points that take you there, they just don't engage me as much as episodes from other seasons. Still freaking love it though, but I just always seem to find myself with a bit of distance to season 2. And I'm watching the new series of Drive to Survive. It's great background viewing, but I think it's gonna die without Gunther involved going forward.
Last year, for 2 points, I would have fucked the whole paddock, you know, so hopefully we can get some more.
I'm sure America doesn't mind, but I'll apologise for the language.
What language did they use? I don't know, I didn't hear.
What did you say you would do to the whole paddock?
Hug them.
I also watched the new Avatar live action series on Netflix, which is pretty average. Once again, there's a full review on the channel for that already. So that's everything I watched in February 2024. What did you watch in February? What did you think of the things I've watched? Do you like them? Are my reviews bad? Am I too much of a simp for silly Hollywood Oscar bait stuff? Stay tuned, guys. More stuff coming out in March, and I can't wait to check out Dune Part 2. Have a lovely, lovely March.